what if I make a server that stays up for 24 hours, where obviously it's limited up to 10 people at a time. I make a server that stays up for 24 hours so anybody can log in from the minute I open it up to basically tomorrow during the next stream. And then we just do one big review to see what's happened over 24 hours of a server with 0 rules. So you may be wondering, Leg, why did you do this? Because, results and progress and things to analyze. I don't know, okay? I don't know. I just thought it might be funny, and it was for the most part. But let me explain the whole process. My part in it, and of course, leaving players free for 24 hours. There could be war, there could be peace, there could be teaming. Anybody can get on at any time and do anything. By the end, the entire thing could literally just be rubble. So here's how the server worked. The server did not have unlimited space to travel, nor did it have unlimited resources. In actuality, it was insanely limited, and that's what forced people to interact with each other. Before the server began, I provided a variety of trees and resources, including food that players could obtain and also farm and possibly constantly renew based on their own actions. Obviously, if you have a spruce tree and somebody burns it down, you're probably not going to have a spruce tree anymore. So general resources were really only limited up to a player's discretion. After I had set everything up and players were beginning to join the world, I ended my live stream, and that's when the real stuff kind of started to unfold. I played the role of a neutral watcher, logging in from time to time, checking to see how everything was going, checking in with people secretly, and just generally seeing how the server was kind of turning out. So here goes nothing, the entire timeline of this server. So right off the bat, there was already an immediate fight for power. Who knew that was going to happen? I mean, come on. Within the first hour of the server, there was an average of about 8 players online, and most people were advocating for peace and making houses, kind of just settling in, trying to have a good time, like most people who play the craft. But within those 8 players, there was about 3 actively trying to get as suited up as humanly possible, as quickly as possible. One player in particular was absolutely obsessed with themselves and wanted to have power over the entire server, and I just want to go ahead and say, no one took too well to that. Since there were no rules or guidelines to follow, every single player had the absolute right to any other player's items or belongings, or even, I would say, well-being. It became very evident very quickly who was a good person and who was an awful person. A little time skip, the server's been up for around 4 hours, and there's already some interesting things happening. All of the people who are advocating for peace and trying to have a good time in the server had elected 2 frogs to become their presidents, President Hops and Michelle Hops, the president's wife, I guess. They made a small little town with crops, and they were beginning to flatten some things out, while the other people were kind of still very left and right about what they wanted to do. And what I mean by left and right is they literally just wanted to kill everybody, and they were going to do it, and that of soon. So in an unfortunate series of events, 2 players decided to come into the peaceful little area and tear it to the ground, which of course is my role as the neutral watcher. I did inquire them about why they've done this, and the reasoning was very logical and totally made sense. All of the players who were advocating for peace were absolutely being slaughtered and needed a place to go where they could feel safe. And what better place to reside than literally behind the sign that I put in that says social experiment? Of course somebody would have to live behind that, because that just makes sense. The couple of players who began living behind the sign ended up naming themselves the Sign Rats. They began communicating their feelings through signage behind the wall, and they just kind of like stayed there for a really long time and kind of hid away. But not all of the players who were advocating for a peaceful, fun time got a chance to get somewhere safe. They were continually being slaughtered over and over, while 2 or 3 players were griefing the entirety of the server. Eventually, the players that were griefing got killed, their stuff burned, and they kind of lost the drive to continue, and they immediately quit. This allowed for more buildings to be established and some players to actually have some breathing room while walking around. Now, I did say the server had no rules, but that was only pertaining inside of the actual gameplay itself. The only thing I specifically pointed out that was not allowed was X-ray and any form of cheating or hacking, etc. And unfortunately, 2 players did that, and of course we publicly shamed them, as we do. But 2 X-rayers was about the only problems I experienced. Time skip, it's been about 8 hours. I decided to do some loot crate drops here and there for players to be able to build more and of course protect themselves from the most basic of things such as like mobs and such, because it kind of was sad watching people die to those. And in more important news, someone built a cat sanctuary. How about that? Thank you, Nicole. Very cool. There wasn't as many people on at this point, so there wasn't really a lot happening, so I figured it was time to give myself a nice good rest. And then maybe come back once in the night and come back tomorrow to check how things are going. When I came back, I found that one player, the player that most everyone hated, had stayed on all night to get items and build a sky base, which kind of just looked like a giant farm, but I digged it. And apparently, in the short time that I was out, a bunch of players decided to build an accent wall. That big dirt thing you see? Just to let you know, you kind of have to have other walls to have an accent wall, because the accent wall is usually a different color, and I don't see any other walls. But you know, everyone has their passions, so I'm not gonna judge. And in some unfortunate news, someone murdered all of the cats within the cat sanctuary because they thought the most hated player was the one who built it and not somebody else. And they were mad previously about their house being destroyed, even though the person that everybody hated didn't actually destroy their house. It was someone else who was already left and done with the server. So it was an entire miscommunication, causing the death of like 30-something cats. Gotta love a classic miscommunication, am I right? Ah, it's so sad. And by this point, I would definitely say it was kind of a peacetime. Everyone was kind of minding their own business, building. There had been a couple of tussles in between, but it was borderline peaceful. Well, until it wasn't. One player, fed up and tired of the treatment from old Skybase, decided it was time for a change, and things got ugly quick, resulting in a very large burn down and destruction of the Sky Island that had been built overnight. And as you can guess, Private Problematic didn't take well to that and decided to take out his anger on other players who were just existing. You know what they say, hate does breed hate, and it shows very well here. Even though I was the neutral watcher, I was a little butthurt that the cat died. That kind of made me sad, I'm not gonna lie. But like the saying goes, all good things come to an end. Well, apparently all bad things come to an end as well, because Mr. Tyrannical finally bit adieu to the game and killed himself, probably from the lack of sleep, and they really needed a reason to get off. But after all of this had happened, we were around the 20-ish hour mark and things were starting to wind down. Peace had finally been attained, and it was time to do some final builds and some final touch-ups to end this thing, and some final sacrifice, I guess. For some reason, some players were worshiping me as a deity because I would come in here and there, drop things here and there, and kind of just show up and say things. And one player in particular built me a church. Freaking weird. And this player, who had basically not been on the server this entire time, wanted to be sacrificed to atone for the other people's sins. So what better thing as a neutral watcher could I have done than to, well, sacrifice him? Can't pass up on an opportunity like this. This is what everything looked like yesterday. All the, you know, the 10 people in here, right? This, no, I don't have my computer with me. Is the world. Frick. Take a look. I'm so down to join off to join after get work. Here's the thing. This is what they started with. If you didn't hear, there was 2 white mountains on the other side, beautiful grass in between. As it progressed, I added some trees, flowers. Let's see. Person who wanted. Let's see, where is that? I added water, axolotls, some fish, different variants of trees, and I even added some spawners, pig spawners, and I added some other spawners during the duration of the thing. You know, added some cat spawners, some sheep spawners, the whole 9 yards. And this, this is what it looks like now. This... Wrapping up, the person who killed all the cats at least apologized, so I guess that was appreciated among the community. So there is still some good left in this world. I decided to give every player a book they could write in to share their experiences in front of this beautiful little axolotl statue I found. This was a good addition. The things they wrote were, dare I say, interesting, I guess. And thank goodness we had the declaration of the dirt wall. What would we have done without that? But of course, the end couldn't just be as simple as closing the server. I had to wash away all the sin that had been happening on the grounds around us. So we went out with a bang. Uh-oh. Wow. This was one heck of a social experiment, huh, chat? Any agreeers in the chat? Any truers? Off the end. Jump. Down the diving board. Go, jump. Thank you. On your way. I bid you farewell. Keep going. Yep. Let freedom ring then. That's it for the server. That is the finale. It is over. I am forcibly hibernating the server. So if you participated, I hope you had a good time. Or if you didn't have a good time, I'm sorry. But that was part of it. That was part of like the systematic process. So now that it's all said and done, What did we learn? Well, I think we learned a lot about how people treat each other, and I think we learned a lot of moral lessons throughout this entire thing, inclusive. So yeah, I think that's about it. That'll be it. Please subscribe. I'm begging.